song about love or drinking too much. Yeah, maybe that's because everybody's lonely. On your radio, there's another song that goes, babe, I'll never let you go. Everybody's lonely.
Hey guys, what's up? You're watching Interviews with Alternative Indian. Today we have Tommy from Jukebox the Ghost.
What's up?
So, congratulations on your newest album, Off to the Races.
Thank you very much.
It's your 5th consecutive album, and we're really excited about it.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, we're excited about it too.
What were you looking forward to most on this tour?
I think we were all excited about playing the new tunes. Our last record, which was our self-titled record, it was fun to play them live, but a lot of them relied on triggering samples and some sort of sleeker pop elements that we'd integrated on that record. And this record, there's just a lot of tunes that feel very raw and rock and roll, and they're really fun to play live. Like Everybody's Lonely and People Go Home and Diane. There's just colorful. There's a lot of tunes in this record that just sound great with the three of us on stage, which is really nice.
Couldn't agree more, and I can't wait to see them. So going along those lines, you actually started the record off with Jump Started. And to me, I really see an influence of Queen, and maybe even a little bit of a slight influence of like ELO with like the Golden Throat kind of sound. It's just so well orchestrated. Could you tell us a little bit about the process behind that song?
So Ben was working on a demo, and he had this crazy idea of he just kept adding a part every day.
Right.
So he would sit down and just add another section, not really worrying about what came next. It's sort of like, you know that game where you draw like a third of a face and then you pass it to somebody else and they can only see part of it, and then they keep drawing, and then it turns into this monster. I feel like it's kind of the musical equivalent of that. So we all thought it was awesome, but I think we all had this moment where we heard it for the first time where we were like, are we really going to do this, you know?
Yeah.
But it was exciting to record for the record, and we decided to put it first just because, like, I mean, once you hear the track, you'll kind of know why, but it's like, there's not really anywhere else it can go. It sort of has to be first. It's such a wacky construction.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd say it's a great introduction to the album. And in the song, you also have the lyrics, Off to the Races. So is that where you got the idea to put the title of the album?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also the first time we've ever seen you as the band on an album cover. What made you guys decide to put yourselves on the album cover?
That was actually our management. They were like, you need to be on the album cover. And we were like,
really?
And they were like, really? You've never done it? And we were like, but why? And then we just did it.
So if you couldn't do that, what would you have put on it?
We had sort of this wacky rainbow image that we had floated around for a while of this kind of surreal landscape that's kind of rainbow colored that we'd played with. And so that actually did find its way onto the album cover because we used it as the color texture on the horse.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
We were all sitting down trying to figure out how to integrate our band onto the album cover, and we were all kind of feeling ill about the idea. And I sort of tossed around the idea of us all being a little bit sort of in costume, and then we're next to a rainbow horse, and we all kind of were like, that's just dumb enough to work.
Yeah, you got like the jumpsuit, the suspenders, and the bow tie. It looks great. You guys talked about in previous interviews that you like to scrap songs off of albums sometimes before you release them. What do you guys do with those extra songs? You release them as singles, or would it be like kind of like Stay the Night?
Let's see. Well, what's funny is I see people talk about some of our songs like why didn't you put Stay the Night on the record? And to be honest, like that was just from a different session. Like we did that well before we recorded the bulk of the album. So we were just tired of not having new music out, and so we put it out as a single, and not really. It was almost a surprise when the record came out that we were like, oh yeah, people thought that was going to be on the record.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, Ben and I both write a lot of stuff, and we haven't been touring the last couple of years. So we came into this record with probably 70 or 80 songs.
Holy moly.
Just way too many. So
that's amazing, though.
and in different stages of finished. But all three of us in the band are pretty adept engineers and producers at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, I yeah, I mean, I have like 30 songs that I like fully produce that might come out under Jukebox or might be a solo thing, and Ben's kind of got the same thing, you know. He's got a lot of songs.
You also have a few other side projects, don't you?
I do. The main one is a band called Narc Twain. That's like sort of a dystopian themed rock band.
Right.
Yeah. That's
really cool. And could you ever see any of the influence from these songs that you don't release onto that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of... I feel like my natural aesthetic is somewhere in between Narc Twain and Jukebox the Ghost, and so when I'm writing, I'm sort of pushing something in one direction or the other. But this record actually has a couple songs that I envisioned originally as Narc Twain songs that became Jukebox the Ghost songs.
Cool.
Boring and People Go Home.
Nice.
Which I think if anybody who knows our catalog would hear those too and think like, yeah, those are a little more like, a little more punk rocky or something.
Yeah, I feel that. So, with old music on old records, do you ever regret not making a music video for some of the songs, or?
Yeah, I mean, music videos. You know, most of our history as a band, we've been independent or on a really small label that didn't have a budget. So we'd love to make music videos for, you know, everything, but we just can't afford it. I mean, it's funny. It costs about, like, to make a whole record with a good producer that you respect. Costs a lot of money, but for that same amount of money, you could only make like 2 music videos.
Right.
So for me personally, as I'm not a huge music video guy, like I'd always rather just record more music. To me, we just like, whenever we have a record, we always record the bare minimum, what we can afford. But all those 70, 80 songs I was talking about, like I wish we had the budget to record them all.
Man.
You know?
Hey, you know, maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
Maybe able to. You started Jukebox Ghost 10 years ago, and now you're here. How would you say you've grown as a band since then?
We went to school in D.C., and that's how we all met.
Oh, right.
So we had a few years as a band there, and you know, it's funny. It almost feels like we're coming full circle stylistically now. Our first record is kind of more indicative of what we were like in college, which was like a little spastic, but maybe a little more sci-fi and narrative in scope. And now we're kind of coming back around to our early stuff and going like, well, what, like, there's something of value there. Like, let's like keep poking at it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, we just want to know, what can we expect next from you guys, from Jukebox the Ghost, and are we going to be able to see another Halloween show this year?
Halloween, I'm not sure. I bet there will be a Halloween at some point in the future. I don't know about this year. It kind of depends on how well the record's doing, because if the record's doing great, then we might be too busy to do a Queen tribute show.
Oh, yeah.
But I love playing Halloween. It's like my favorite. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Other than that, I mean, people can expect. I mean, we're hoping to tour more in the fall, and we also have. You know, people have asked about Stay the Night, why we didn't include that in the record, but we also recorded 5 other songs that we left off the record. That not necessarily because they were worse, but just because we weren't sure they fit in with the record, and we wanted it to be a really tight 10-song kind of thing instead of a sprawling long record. But so we're going to put those out at some point. We're not really sure how, or you know, whether it's an EP or just a bunch of singles, but you can look for those too.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching Interviews with Alternative Indian. We'll see you guys next time.
Off to the races, got my love jump started. The only one I want is you. Say it again. Bang. I hear the bells and the ringing already. 4 kids in a big old wedding singing you.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this interview, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button in the top left corner, and you can check out our other interviews on the right in the other boxes. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.